Friday, June 5, setting the stage for a reckoning that none of us could have possibly foreseen. If you ask me, Sonny is playing a game of chess with death, and his decision to force Pascal into a corner is either going to be his greatest masterstroke or his final undoing. We all know how Sonny operates. He does not negotiate with snakes, but today he is handing Pascal a gun and telling him to aim it at the man who holds his leash. It is dark, it is gritty, and it is exactly the kind of move that makes me wonder if Sonny has finally lost his grip on the moral high ground. Lucas and Laura standing there as witnesses to this descent into the underworld just adds another layer of dread to the whole situation. You can see the flicker of hesitation in their eyes, that moment where they realize they are no longer just observing the crime, but participating in the survival of a monster. I think we all need to prepare ourselves for the fallout, because when you invite the devil to dinner, you usually end up paying for the meal with your soul. Now, let us turn our eyes to the absolute disaster unfolding over at the Quartermain estate, because, guys, Tracy is truly reaching new heights of pure, unadulterated fury this week. I mean, watching her pace around that mansion, clutching her pearls and practically breathing fire, is the kind of high stakes drama we live for. She is convinced that Chase has crossed the line, and frankly, I see exactly where she is coming from, even if Chase thinks he is being the noble, innocent friend. When Tracy screams that she is calling the lawyers, it is not just a threat, it is a declaration of war. If you ask me, she is reading the room perfectly, and she knows that the intimacy between Chase and Willow is a powder keg waiting to blow up their entire social standing. It is delicious, it is messy, and it is exactly why we cannot stop watching every single movement they make. But let us talk about the real elephant in the room, which is the undeniable and frankly gut-wrenching chemistry that keeps drawing Willow back into orbit with the people she should be avoiding at all costs. Nina is playing the role of the concerned mother, but we know deep down that her warnings to Willow are laced with her own fears and personal history. It is a classic case of history repeating itself, and if you ask me, Willow is walking straight into a trap of her own making by choosing to ignore every red flag. She thinks that taking on the role of chief of staff is going to give her control, but we all know that in this town, every promotion comes with a price tag that usually involves your dignity or your marriage. I find it fascinating how she believes she can just balance her duties and her feelings for Chase without everything coming crashing down around her. I really feel for Brooke Lynn right now, even if she is playing a dangerous game by trying to form alliances with the likes of Nina. It is such a desperate move, isn't it? She is essentially trying to outsource her marital security to the very woman who has been a thorn in her side since day one. If you ask me, this is a recipe for disaster. Brooke Lynn thinks she is being clever, but she is actually just tightening the noose around her own neck. The way she looks at Willow with that mixture of pity and contempt tells me that she is already planning her next move, and I am here for it. But let us be real. The moment she tries to leverage Nina against Willow, she is going to realize that she has underestimated the sheer chaos that Nina is capable of unleashing when her own interests are at stake. Meanwhile, the tension in the courtroom of life, or at least the legal drama surrounding Phoebe, is enough to make anyone lose sleep. Alexis interrogating Ethan about the photograph and that mysterious child is absolute peak television. You could see the panic in his eyes, the way he tries to deflect every question with that charming, roguish smile that we all know hides 1,000 secrets. If you ask me, Ethan is hiding something that could blow the entire Quartermain family to pieces, and Alexis is the only one smart enough to see through the smoke and mirrors. When he insists that he wants his secret to stay buried, it just makes me more curious about what could possibly be so damaging that he would risk everything to keep it hidden. It is a classic mystery that feels like a slow burn thriller, and I am honestly obsessed with how Alexis is going to navigate this moral minefield. I have to wonder, if you ask me, is there a chance that Phoebe is the key to everything that is currently wrong in Port Charles? The way these characters are so desperate to keep the truth about her parentage under wraps makes me think that there is a massive power struggle hidden beneath the surface. Alexis knows the stakes, and her warning to Ethan is one of the most chilling moments we have seen in a long time. It is not just about a child, it is about the legacy of a family that is already crumbling from the inside out. We are talking about potential lawsuits, custody battles, and the kind of public scandal that would turn the entire city against everyone involved. It is a nightmare, and I, for one, am ready to see the chaos unfold in the coming episodes. And what about Jocelyn? That girl is a firecracker, and watching her refuse to submit to the man holding her hostage is honestly inspiring. She has got that Corinthos blood in her, that refusal to break even when the gun is pointed right at her chest. If you ask me, she is the one who is going to orchestrate the downfall of the entire operation, even if she has to burn the house down to do it. The way she is pivoting her tactics suggests that she has realized that force is not going to work, so she is going for the psychological play. Is she trying to manipulate the person holding the gun? Is she looking for a weakness in their resolve? We have to keep our eyes glued to the screen because I have a sneaking suspicion that Jocelyn is about to turn the tables in a way that will leave us all speechless. We cannot ignore the fact that the entire town feels like it is on the verge of a total collapse. Every conversation, every look, every whispered threat feels like a prelude to a tragedy. If you ask me, the writers are setting us up for a massive cliffhanger that will leave us screaming at our televisions. The way the paths of these characters are crossing, Sunny at the docks, Alexis in her office, Tracy at the mansion, it is all converging into one big, messy, beautiful knot of conflict. I think we need to brace ourselves for some major departures, or perhaps some shocking revelations that will change the landscape of Port Charles forever. It is not just a soap opera, it is a full blown war, and we are just the lucky ones getting to watch the carnage from our living rooms. I am still thinking about what Sonny told Pascal about saving his own life. It is such a cold, calculating demand. It really highlights how far Sonny has drifted from the man he once was, or perhaps it shows that he was always this man, and we were just too blinded by his charisma to notice. If you ask me, he is becoming the very thing he has spent his entire life fighting against. The way he is forcing Pascal to turn on Sidwell is a masterclass in manipulation, but it is also a sign of how desperate he has become. When the king of the city starts using his subjects as pawns in a suicide mission, you know that the end of his reign might be closer than we think. It is a chilling thought, but one we have to consider if we want to understand the current state of the Corinthos Empire. Let us talk about the potential for romance to go sour. Willow and Chase, could they really be heading toward an affair that ends in total destruction? If you ask me, the tension between them is so palpable, it is practically a character of its own. Every time they are on screen together, the air changes. It is not just friendship, it is something deeper, something more dangerous, and I think they are both terrified of it. But they keep leaning into it, keep choosing to spend time together despite the warnings, and that is what makes it so tragic. They are like moths to a flame, and the flame is their own reputations and the lives of those they love. It is a classic, high stakes drama that keeps me coming back for more day after day. I am honestly worried for Chase. He is a good man, he is a cop, he has a moral compass, or at least he did before all this started. Now, he is being accused of cheating, being threatened with lawyers, and being told who he can and cannot see. It is enough to make anyone crack under the pressure. If you ask me, he is trying to maintain his integrity, but he is losing the battle on every front. When he stands up to Tracy, I want to cheer for him, but I also know that he is just digging his own grave. Tracy is not a woman who backs down, and she is certainly not a woman who forgets a perceived slight. This is going to end badly, and I think we all know it, but we just cannot look away. In Port Brooklyn, she's trying to manage the chaos, trying to keep her family name clean, and trying to protect her own interests, all while her husband is being torn away from her by the magnetism of another woman. It is heartbreaking, if you ask me. I really want her to win, to find a way to navigate this mess and come out on top, but the odds are stacked so heavily against her. She needs an ally, and she needs one fast, but who can she really trust? Nina? That feels like a deal with the devil, and we know how those usually turn out in Port Charles. It is a desperate situation, and I am genuinely scared for what she might have to sacrifice to get what she wants. As we look ahead to the rest of the week, I keep coming back to the idea that nothing in this town is ever what it seems. The secrets are deeper, the lies are bigger, and the consequences are more permanent than they have ever been. If you ask me, we are in for a ride that will test our loyalties and keep us guessing until the very last second. Every character is playing a role, but the mask are starting to slip, and what lies beneath is far more complicated and dangerous than any of us could have imagined. I have my theories, but honestly, this show has a way of surprising me just when I think I have it all figured out, and that is why I am so obsessed with it. I want to hear from you, guys. What are your thoughts on this mess? Do you think Sonny has gone too far this time, or is he just doing what needs to be done to protect his family? And what about the drama at the mansion? Are you Team Tracy or Team Chase? I honestly cannot decide who I am more frustrated with because everyone is acting so stubbornly. Please drop your theories in the comments and let us fight about this. Do you think Willow is going to regret her choices, or is she finally going to get what she deserves? I am dying to know your take on this. So let us keep the debate going until we see how this all shakes out.